All right, let's do it. All right, hello and welcome back to another 5K tennis discussion. Today is Tuesday, January 28th, 2020. And we got a lot to talk about. So I want to jump. Sorry, it's my date thing. A lot to talk about, so we're gonna jump right into today's show.
Yes.
All right. I have my tennis Sandgren shirt on, representing. Anyway, let's start out today's show with the viewer comment. So on yesterday's show, we discussed coaching from the sidelines that was going to be, I guess, entertained with an almost kind of an unlimited player to box type pattern, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of you immediately started talking about that.
Right.
So there was a really good comment from, I think it was Tennis Sir.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like it was a good time to discuss this and get kind of into thoughts and what other people think.
Right.
All right. So here's the comment. The comment comes from Tennis Sir, and this was after yesterday's show. It says, 5K tennis. Coaching is one subject that is very rarely touched upon that I wish someday you and Carla might address. Unlike the NFL, MLB, which is Major League Baseball, or NBA, National Basketball Association, where coaching decisions and salaries are public information, tennis coaching, because it's all individual hires, is highly secretive. I think a lot of your subscribers would like more insight into the decisions that go into coaching hires and fires. As an example, everyone was curious as to why Naomi Osaka would fire Sasha Bajin right after winning 2 majors. Some top players like Pliskova and Kvitova seem to hire new coaches every 12 months. There are many other interesting examples on the men's side too. All right, so I felt like this honestly, this is a really, really deep question.
Right. It's a good question. Yeah, they're going to allow the coaching from the sidelines at some of the WTA tournaments, right? Not at the Grand Slams. So as we know, there's always pros and cons. I think yesterday you guys heard me say that, why not? I mean, players are doing it anyways, and even Djokovic said it, why not make it legal? Also about contracts. Well, you and I coach, right? There are no contracts in junior tennis or at our level. There's no need for them. I mean, these are players who go to... I have some students that have many different coaches, one for tactics, one for shots, one to just hit with. So there is no contracts at this level. When I played amateur tennis, I had no contract with my coach who I lived with. But as I was getting better, he did mention that we would have a contract because, a coach does deserve a percentage if you start winning, right? It is tough.
Absolutely.
It is tough to travel and give up that time with your family. And now you're here with this student. They become your family. You guys become family. I did a little bit of research after Justin reading that, and definitely there's contract, but only when you are with that player. The contract ends immediately after you terminate that relationship. And most
contracts do end if you get fired.
Right, but you know how some play, like football, there's a severance package. Baseball, there's a severance package. Basketball, there's a severance package. There is no severance package.
Freeze that thought right there. Do not lose your train of thought. You know me. I'll forget where I'm going with something. I think everybody knows that by now. Let's look at, say, Major League Baseball, the NFL, as Tennis Sir mentioned. Let's look at, really, any big time college football, college basketball. Coaches, let's say like John Gruden, what did he just sign? A 10-year, $100 million guaranteed contract. What Jimbo Fisher that left Florida State and went to coach football at A&M? Did he just sign like a 10-year, $100 million guaranteed deal? In other words, what I'm getting at is in any sport, which Tennis Sir, just truthfully indicated, that these are big money type transactions, and as soon as the coach is hired, boom, it's big time news. Look at Alabama where we live. Alabama Crimson Tide. This whole state revolves around Nick Saban. As soon as Nick Saban's hired to one extra bonus extension for 2 weeks or something, the whole place freaks out.
But they are also team sports. Sports are a lot more popular.
Okay, well, neither here nor there, because this is the issue with coaching and tennis. there is really no exposure that the coach gets because the player is on the court and gets all the exposure. So it's about the player. Now, it is an individual sport. It's designed that way. Mm-hmm. However, Carla, would you know how to hit a tennis ball today if it wasn't for many coaches and your father?
Definitely not, no.
Would I be able to hit a tennis ball if it wasn't for many coaches and my father?
Nope.
No, so we have to be able to thank those that came before us, number one. But we can't be the player we are without the coaches. So the thing with the coaches is they really make squat, penny, crap, bottom of the barrel, BS type money. I guess one of the things, and I'll say from my own experience, there's been a few players that we have both coached individually and traveled with as sole coaches. When we are at those matches and our students were doing well, sometimes, and not being egotistical or not humble, but sometimes it's nice as a coach to be able to hand out a business card with some credibility, right?
Definitely.
Hence Patrick Bortaglou popping up. Yes, that's me. I look good. Everywhere he goes.
He has to promote his academy. In a way, though, if you think about it, he has to promote his academy. If he doesn't promote his academy, it goes down the tube.
So, real quick, does this make coaching from the sidelines a little bit more appealing to the coach, number one? Absolutely, right? Because the coach is going to get some PR.
Sure, they're going to get the PR. With the good things always comes the bad things, right?
There you go.
Always,
Beautifully
always.
Said. Now, if the coach has a student, let's say, who's one of the recent hires from Bajin that didn't do too well? Mladenovic. So, how would that have made him look if he was really always on camera? Maybe it would have made him look a little bit not so great. So I think there's pros and cons here. But in terms of the contracts, I think the contracts, I think the difficulty of being a coach in tennis doesn't need to change the dynamics of the game itself. I'll explain. So now they want coaching from the sidelines, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, we're going to experiment with it on WTA premieres, synonymous with an ATP 1000, right? So the coaching on the sidelines, if the player can always communicate with the sidelines, right? And now it's an every point thing or whatever the limit is, and I don't think there is a limit.
But you know what the sad part here is? That there are players who don't have sponsors on clothing, rackets.
Or can't afford the coaches.
Can't afford the coaching, so they are now at a disadvantage.
Well, okay, that's a good point.
That's the other thing. So this is a double whammy for those that are at the bottom of the bucket. This is good for those that got the money, but those that don't,
that's
worse
deep.
For them.
That's deep. I didn't think about that. Yeah, so yes, this is a crux.
So it's a bad thing for those players.
This is a crux point. Great. It isn't the definition of open era tennis is when ranked players were finally able to play with amateurs, etc. So the amateur is now going to be the underdog because they may not have anyone.
Underdog. They were already the underdog
because they may not have anyone in their box to help coach them.
Correct.
However, rewind that though from a fan standpoint that's been multi-generations of not playing it. There's multi-generation families that are just fans, like football, right? I can't tell you how many families they grew up watching football. They love this college, they love this pro team, and generations, but they've never played football, right? Mm-hmm. So the common tennis fan is going to be like, geez, now I got to watch this women's match, and now I'm watching the coach go back and forth. So I don't think that the dynamic of the game needs to change because it is really difficult for the coaches to contractually find stability. I think there needs to be some type of organization, like the coaches organization. We got the players organization, right? I think Djokovic heads it. A coaches organization where the coaches can protect themselves against getting hired and fired at the thump of a hat. Because it's really difficult for the coach. So the video, I think, the coaching from the sideline will give coaches exposure, but at the same time, it may burn them badly.
Yeah, and I was looking up, and it said a lot of them, let's do ATP. ATP, they can get paid from anywhere $40,000 to $40,000 to $200,000 a year. That includes traveling expenses. So in other words, they're not paying for their hotel and stuff like that.
Which is a lot of money,
too. The
player
pays for that. So it's a base salary. There's a winning percentage. There's special performance bonuses, ranking bonus, tournament prize money. Usually it's 5 to 15%. I think a few years ago, Halep hired somebody for a couple weeks, and the guy said he wanted like 10% of every tournament that she won. But as soon as she fired him, that was done.
Well, obviously, if you're fired, why would...
Well, there's no severance package. Most jobs, if you've been there with them for a while, you get a severance package, correct?
Well, I think there's some legality behind that in the United States. I think if you work in something called an at-will state, I think you can get fired and say get lost immediately.
Yes, exactly. I think Brad Gilbert, I read where Brad Gilbert was working with Roddick in some British company, and they paid him for the...
No, he worked with Andy Murray. Brad Gilbert worked with Andy Murray.
And Roddick. Yeah, but he was working with two different... He was working with Andy Roddick, and he was working with this company that was helping Andy Roddick, because Andy, I guess, had something to do with them. He got paid, like, for 2 years.
Like $2 million.
$2 million.
Like a $2 million.
$2 million. He said, I was very lucky to get that.
Yeah, lifetime deal.
So $2 million for 2 years was a lifetime deal for that type of caliber of coach.
All right, so real quick, Carla, I think on your phone that you have, last night, Carla and I were watching a match. It was the Barty match, actually. And I just want to show you what coaches do on the sidelines when you catch them.
And what Djokovic was talking about.
And the whole, the crux of the story is that, let's look at the Houston Astros. Didn't the Houston Astros and the Boston Red Sox and MLB just get, like, really punished for stealing signals? And, like, general managers lost their jobs because they were stealing, pitching signals by video or whatever. And I mean, didn't Tom Brady deflate a football? And in pro sports, there's always going to be someone trying to either cheat or find an easier way to the intended path or target. So yesterday we're watching a match. And
Barty against Kvitova,
and I saw something. And I said, Carla, rewind that. Is this not giving the coach a signal? Now, can you show this video to everyone? And look, I'm not an investigator. I'm just saying it looks to me like she's getting a signal.
All right, here we go.
All right, watch the signal.
Here, I'm going to rewind it because we're going to start.
That's okay.
I've been experimenting with... All right, watch the signal. Watch the signal from the coach.
Coco's dad and juniors a couple of years ago when she was playing Anna Simova.
Got it.
All right, show it one more time, and you be the judge of it.
I've been experimenting with...
All right, watch the signal. Watch the signal from the coach.
Coco's dad and juniors a couple of years ago when she was playing Anna Simova.
Got it.
And he's not her main coach, but he is part of the team.
So look,
and I made sure, I looked up pictures to make sure that he was part of the team. He's sitting, there's a guy between him, and then there's the main coach. So like Djokovic said, how do you know these guys are not getting signals? We might not even know who they are.
Look, I just saw that in a flash of a camera, which flashed off of it pretty quickly. And look, I'm not insinuating anything. I'm just saying it looks like a signal, unless for some reason every time I take my hat off, I have a really pristine way like Nadal.
I know that's a signal because I know when I was a junior tennis player, my coach would say, if I do this, it means this, and I couldn't remember all that.
So the reason why they're legalizing this or going to attempt at doing so is because if they're going to do it anyway, then you might as well do it and regulate it. Now, Carla just mentioned a beautiful statement. What if you can't afford to have someone in your box? Or if you're just traveling solo and sleeping at a Airbnb and taking not even an Uber, but riding a skateboard to the place from the airport or hoping someone gives you a ride. There is a discrepancy here, and a big one. But at the end of the day, they're going to do it anyway. And I guess someone could say, well, just don't let them in the stadium. Don't let their coach in the stadium. Well, then the coach will just have a damn drone sitting over the top of the ceiling, and homeboy will just be watching it and just get some stranger on the 7th row to whistle down some. There will always be a way to cheat. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? I mean, they're stealing pitches by people with video cameras on, the 78th floor of the Empire State Building is what I'm getting at. Yeah. So just legalize it. I hate it because, the world...
I mean, there's a reason why cell phones were not allowed, right? They didn't allow cell phones before. So.
But yes, to quell what we got into in the first place is tennis coaches should have some type of organization or board or union. I mixed emotions on unions in this day and age, but, I think there's pros and cons to everything. However, I think the coaches should have some way to make sure they're stable, right?
Yes.
But at the same time, be checked to make sure they're coaching really well. Most coaches are really good. The last thing I'm going to say is most coaches in tennis, not most, I'm going to say a large percentage are egotistical. The coaches a lot of times are about themselves. Mortagalu, look at him. Yeah, you want to see me? Yeah, I look good. I can coach good. Look at Bajin. He looks like he'd been in a tanning bed for 74 years without getting out, and then popped out of a cryogenic chamber. He looks like he's 733, but he's like 32. So, I mean, there's a lot of ego that goes on in here. We'll see what happens, and the WTA is going to be the guinea pig.
Yeah, definitely. Of course.
All right.
Of course they are.
Let's move on. Let's real quickly touch on the Sofia Kenin and Oms Jabeur match. In my opinion, the only thing I have to say is Kenin was the better player. And just end that with...
Okay, you see me yawning? That's
and
what I
end
thought
that,
of that match.
and end that with Oms Jabeur should be proud of herself, an Arabic young lady from Tunisia, representing an entire continent. Bravo to her. And hopefully, we see a lot more from her. Now, she's been around for a while. She's not a newcomer. Kenin's more a newcomer. I think Kenin, a better player, won.
Yeah, otherwise it would have been a blowout in the next round.
Yeah. So, good for Kenin. Who does Kenin play next? Real quick.
Barty?
That's going to be a pretty good match. But Barty, let's just go right to the Barty match then.
Yeah, Barty match was actually a pretty decent match. Kvitova came out firing. There was a game where they had about 7 deuces, where Kvitova really had many chances to break her. And I thought, if she could just break Barty, she could take that first set. And it did not happen for her.
Kvitova had an opportunity in the breaker.
There's just so much, Kvitova comes out with these big shots, attacking Barty's second serve. But she seemed a bit impatient to me. Barty was willing to stay in the point, slice, make her run, try to put a racket on any ball she could, just to make Kvitova hit one more ball. And it worked. It worked well, including the crowd being behind her. She was the smarter player, the more patient player. She really had to work for her serves. They kept breaking each other in the beginning, remember? We saw Kvitova break right away. It was 2-0, and then came back. Barty broke and served, and it evened out. I felt bad for Kvitova. I just don't think mentally she has it. That's why I never picked her to go this far to win a slam. She's just impatient.
Barty is a very classy player.
Beautiful volleys.
Beautiful game.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of variety. Now, there was a point yesterday where she did look at her box and give the box some grief. I didn't really care for that too much, but I guess this day and age, I need to be not so much of a traditionalist and open my mind to things like coaching from the sidelines, which, again, in my humble opinion, I think it's a bad thing, but for the coaches, I guess it's good. Anyway, we just talked about that. But she's very smart. Again, I didn't care for when she lost her cool and barked at her box. I didn't like that. And I need to say something else. She's extremely fit.
Yes, she is.
Barty is extremely
Definitely.
fit.
And fit, strong.
I did like when she had Delacroix, her previous doubles partner, come out and they did the little interview together. I thought that was classy. It was fun. Get Courier out the way. Anyway, so you mentioned Kvitova and her coming out and striking the ball and being a big hitter and working from the center of the court, hitting winners. Kvitova's game has always been, give me a ball a foot or two inside the baseline or anything within the service line and three-quarter court. She's going to thump that ball if it's in the center of the court.
She has some power.
She is going to unload on it. She is going to fire that ball. She'll take the inside out. She'll take the inside in.
She's lefty too, so it sucks for the righty.
She'll crank off both sides, and it doesn't matter. She's going to light it up. She can drop bombs on the serve. She can play the game. Hence why she's won 2 Wimbledons. Mm-hmm. Barty, on the other hand, finds a way to get her racket on ball for a split second longer than really any female player I've seen since the likes of Steffi Graf. And oddly enough, Barty is not a newcomer onto tour. She's been playing doubles for a decade, right? Or close enough to it.
She was 16 when she started, yeah.
So I applaud Barty for blossoming here and becoming a really quite beautiful player to watch. Again, I hated to see her lose her cool yesterday, but it's nothing new about Kvitova coming out and hitting heat-seeking missiles.
Yeah.
And she was landing on target a lot, and Barty just found a way to turn that really heat-seeking missile into kind of a gentle slice, mix it up, and it just drove Kvitova crazy.
Yeah, bring her to the net because Kvitova was very uncomfortable up there. I found her to have a hard time moving forward. She has a hard time moving forward. How many players do we say this? Cannot move forward.
Yeah, no, For me, a lot of you will laugh at this statement. You guys have always, if you watch the show, I have an odd fondness for Sabalenka. The reason why is because I've always thought that Sabalenka could be the player that Kvitova is because they have the same type of blistering game. But Sabalenka's never honed in or heat-seeking missiles. They're just all erratic scuds from Saddam somewhere. But Kvitova's always been able to put in some laser precision. The Sabalenka's just like shooting stuff everywhere. But anyway, you mentioned Kvitova hitting these heavy shots. Do you think it's too late in her career for her to add a little bit more variety? I mean, is she too old now? Can you teach an old dog new tricks? I mean, she
needs to if she wants to win a slam.
By the way, I mentioned something.
She's in a better position, in my opinion, though, than Serena Williams.
She is,
because at least she's in shape. She's consistent. She plays a lot of tournaments, so I think she's in a better position, much better.
That's a great poll question. Out of the two of them, if they ever were to win another major, who would win if you had to bet on it? Would Kvitova win one, or would Serena win one? It's a good question, actually.
Yeah.
All right, so I did write something here, and we'll kind of squash this. But the better player last night won.
Definitely.
And I can't wait to see the Barty.
Well,
Kenin match.
Barty's up 4-1 on Kenin, so.
And I think it'll probably go to 5-1. And good for Australia for this happening. But I wrote a little nugget here that Petra Kvitova let out a yelp that sounded like a lonely hiker getting their leg chewed off by a pack of wolves. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Thought someone's leg was getting eaten off by a rabid wolf. Terrible. But besides that lonely, grumping, halting screech let out by Kvitova, then I enjoyed watching the match.
Yes, definitely.
All right, let's roll.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the Federer Sandgren?
Yeah, we could definitely talk about the Federer. By the way, I think someone asked who will beat Barty. Who can beat Barty?
Maybe nobody.
I think Muguruza has the best shot.
I think so too. I agree with that 100%.
Muguruza has the best shot. She's been a champion before twice. She can hit the ball and she can play with slice, drops, volleys, and all that. So I think Barty will have a hard time using that strategy with Muguruza.
Yeah,
if Muguruza prevails against tonight Pavlyuchenkova, and then she would have to face the winner of Halep or Kontaveit.
Look, I hope. I hate to say it. I like Halep a lot. I do. I hate her screech. I hear her squeal is just crazy.
There was a lot of disagreement there. Kenneth Chow, Tennis Sir, somebody else. A lot of disagreement between you guys about Cahill being a good coach for Halep.
Well, that argument's nothing new. That's an argument. Darren Cahill has always been on the chopping block as a coach for a long time. I don't know what. I think he was coaching for a team Adidas too, though.
Yes.
Cahill has always been on the kind of traditionalist line, not kind of wanting to adapt much, sticking with the same old same. Who was the coach for LSU, the football team, that got canned because he just wanted to continue to run the ball. Les Miles. So to me, Darren Cahill is kind of like Les Miles. If you follow college football, he's just him, and not much is going to change that. He's not going to adapt. Kind of like the Dallas Cowboys that picked up Mike McCarthy as a head coach. Mike McCarthy is another one of those traditionalists. I hope the Dallas Cowboys think that they're probably still going to get like a Jason Garrett Jr. there. Won't get into that here. But they're traditionalists, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm traditionalist.
I don't see. I have to agree with whoever said that. I don't see how strategy has changed at all.
Yeah, no, she's going to run them down.
She's the same way she's always been.
She's going to run them down.
She's the same way she's always been, in my opinion.
All right. For the Roger Federer tennis Sandgren match, I want to start with some basic statistics. Aces, okay, service aces. Tennis Sandgren had 27. Roger Federer had 5. Now generally,
that's rare.
Generally, Federer's not going to light the charts up, but he'll be around 13 to 15 in 5-set match, whatever, maybe 20, somewhere in there historically. First serve percentage, they both were serving at 65%. Break points won. Sandgren had 4 out of 14, and Federer had 2. That's a dose out of 13.
That's a lot of break points.
2 out of 13. Sandgren 4 out of 14. Total receiving points won. 60 at 6-0. 60 receiving points won for Sandgren. He was returning well, and only 49 for Roger Federer. Total points won in the match. Tennis Sandgren won 161 points. Roger Federer only won 160 and still won. Total games won across the board. Total games won. Tennis Sandgren won 24 games, and Roger Federer won 23 and still won the match. Here is a prime example of every single point counts. The biggest stat here is the ace count, which is free points. So Sandgren had 22 more free points. He had 2 more service breaks, 2 and 4. And also he had 11 more receiving points won. So, I repeat, how did Federer do this? I say,
Well, we watched the first set. Federer came out like Federer. Won the first set like I thought he would. I thought he'd win like 3 and 4, whatever. But I watched the second set and I thought he seems really off. Hitting a lot of balls out, hitting a lot of balls in the net. He looks tired. He looks like he's dragging. Third set, it was 3-0? Calls medical timeout.
Which I thought the medical timeout was a little on the shady side. Look, I get he's 38, and I get his legs are hurt, and I get all that, and I'm a Federer fan. I got his initial tattooed on my back. So the medical timeout, in my opinion, was a tactic. It was there. And sooner, isn't this around the same point in time where he was about to or just did get into an argument with this umpire?
Was it the third set or fourth set? Fourth set, because it was 3-0. No, it was 3.
Either way, there was 2 sets where it got pretty rough.
It was third set because it was 3-0. I don't think it was a tactical because he lost that set 6-2.
I think he was trying to cool down Sandgren.
We did see him.
He needed to cool down Sandgren because he was off. Federer in the first set, it looked pretty routine, even though he still didn't look great. And Federer became absolutely off. In my opinion, he took the medical timeout to slow down Sandgren, at least whatever Sandgren was bringing to him. Federer tried to slow it down. Now, too, in his press conference interview, he indicates, I got a groin issue. I don't think he had a groin issue. I think he's 38 and needs to realize he's about to be 39 and needs to just say, yo, I'm getting older, my leg might hurt, but it really didn't. Ultimately, now Federer has an excuse. I think Novak Djokovic will not only beat Roger Federer, I think Novak Djokovic will beat the dang rusty brakes off of Federer. I think he's going to beat him so bad, like 2-2 and maybe 0. I think Djokovic might give him a bagel. Only because I think Djokovic just needs to send him in retirement. Let's look at Tennis Sandgren's draw running up to this. He played Trungelliti in the first round. Then he plays hold on, don't tell me. After Trungelliti, he played not Fognini, not Querrey. He played who?
Berrettini,
who's a bozo anyway. I told you he's not a great player. He snuck into this ATP thing like Jack Sock did in 2017. Okay, Sock, Berrettini. Pick one. All right, so now Berrettini's out the way. He goes in there and plays Querrey. Beats Querrey, who's like 734 years old. Stands about 27 feet tall. And, it's not that difficult to beat an aging Querrey. So what I'm saying is he gets through that one with his biceps, hence why I got the shirt on. Then he rolls into the beautiful Vitaliano, silky smooth, pot-belly looking Fabio Fognini, and he takes him out, who has bad karma anyway from all his asshole merit badge antics. So Fabio, the beautiful beard, semi-smooth, silky guy, comes out in the court with the pot-belly and gets stumped by a really fit Tennis Sandgren. Okay, well now the world's falling apart. So now you got Roger Federer coming here that looks like Old Man River that needs a cane, but not really. He's still silky smooth and can pull off the gate to the court, and then he meets Tennis Sandgren. He wins the first set okay. Now, I'm feeling a little bit, he loses 6-2, 6-2. Either way, call it whatever you want to call it. He calls a medical timeout. Holy shit, I'm about to get beat. He rosses back to the deal. He comes back in. Okay, good tactic. He still played like shit. And then nonetheless, he came out and was still able.
Wow, I love this. I love this whole
He was still able to somehow save 7 match points. Bravo, tearjerker, whatever.
I watched the 7 match points, every single one. And I can tell you that inside Sandgren's head, he was so tentative that he kept hitting backhand cross courts. And then he approached the net at the wrong time, in my opinion, where he got passed twice. But he didn't put any pop to it. You would think with 7 match points, you at least served a couple of times. Go for the damn ace. Go for it. He did what Federer did at Wimbledon with Djokovic.
I want everyone out there in comments to tell me what you think the score would have been if that was Novak Djokovic playing Tennis Sandgren last night. 1-0-0?
He didn't play well. It's not that Sandgren played better. He didn't play well. But, this was Sandgren's opportunity to make it to a semifinal, but I'm glad he didn't. because then it would have been even a more boring match against Djokovic. I'm sorry. It just would have been, it sells, it's going to sell Djokovic Federer. That sells better than Djokovic Sandgren. Just saying.
Yeah, okay, so is that a hint that, hey, we had some kookiness going on?
No hint. I heard his interview, Federer's interview. I heard Sandgren's interview. Federer said to Jim Curry, I'm very, very lucky to be here. I was already thinking of going skiing in Switzerland. He said, I don't know how I did it. He said, I'm very lucky. It's obvious Sandgren choked. He didn't know what to do. He had never been in that moment. Never been in a semifinal. Shoot, never been in a quarterfinal. The guy doesn't even have a sponsor on his shirt or shorts. Somebody gave him a little thing to put on there just to show the name.
Let's go.
I heard Sandgren's interview. He was down. He was heartbroken. I mean, what else? People were saying that he was a dick. He was not being a dick.
Tennis Sandgren.
You lost.
He's a good dude.
You lost. You really think you want to answer, hey, what did you do? Why couldn't you win 7 match points? Nobody wants to answer that question.
Yeah. No, Tennis Sandgren, by the way, Tennis Sandgren's mother is from South Africa. And Tennis Sandgren's mother and father met in South Africa and moved to Tennessee, where Tennis Sandgren was born, played college tennis at the University of Tennessee. And let me tell you we live in Alabama in the South. These Southern boys, they don't play. They could fight. They get down. And he did that. Real quickly, though, during this match, there was some, viral thing where people were talking about how hot the umpire was, the girl. Okay, first and foremost, that goes to show you that not many people really follow the game on a regular basis.
We've seen her many times.
We've seen her for years.
Many times.
She's a good umpire. To me, any human being on the planet is beautiful, and she's a pretty girl. Carla's a pretty girl. You are pretty people. No matter what, we all have positivity. But to pull something, oh, look at this girl. Whatever. This is, again, I'm going to get frowned upon because half the people out there are going to be like, yeah, she's hot. And I'm going to be like, look, she's an umpire. She's been on tour for a while.
She's been on tour for a while. I had one of a guy. I said, look, Fognini probably has competition now. But not even show the picture because I said, gosh. I was like, who cares? This is about tennis anyways. There was Federer had his little moment where he cursed. And the lines person went to go.
Good, snitched on him.
I felt like I was watching. I felt like I was in elementary school.
Elementary school.
Teacher, Carla said a bad word.
Mommy, you called me fat.
And I had never seen Federer approach somebody and said, did you really hear me? Why didn't you say anything to me? Oh, it was mixed. Oh, you understand mixed?
It was like a mix of 2 languages, and he busted out an expletive in that language. And,
and
the little line judge runs up to the judge. Yeah, he called
almost like when Serena told that girl, I'm going to put this ball down your throat. She goes,
he told me a name. Man, I don't know if I've ever seen a linesman go snitch.
She went snitching.
She went tattletale.
Man.
Ooh.
Wow.
Brutal.
All right, next match is Djokovic. As we said, this would be done in 3 sets. And it happened.
Did Djokovic do a little medical timeout there in his match?
No,
too?
he apologized to Raonic in his meeting with John McEnroe. His interview with John McEnroe, by the way, I have to say, Rajesh sent me that video. I watched the video twice while you were doing physical therapy. What a classy guy. He came out in his green Lacoste jacket with the number 8, 24, and, honoring his friend. He was obviously really bad. He felt really bad.
Kobe Bryant.
He felt really bad. And then he said, I apologize to Raonic for taking the medical time out. It was at 4-4. He's like, I wasn't hurt. I could not see. I wear contact lenses. You can understand.
I wear contact.
I could not see the ball at all. So I am sorry that I took that time out. It was he said there was no tactic behind that. I literally could not see.
Yeah, I vouch for Djokovic on that one 100%. When you wear contacts, I do wear contacts.
Yeah.
When you have like a drip of salty sweat that drips off like your brow and goes into your eye, which is quite common, honestly, you can't see. It burns. It hurts. You can't see. So you have to get it out, wash it with the saline. You have to do that.
Yeah, so that's why he took it out. He was 84% on his first serve, and he had 2 out of 16 break points. He broke 2 out of 16. So he had a lot of break points.
Yeah, serving at 84% is great.
Yeah, 84%. Another thing that, I was telling, they told him Goran was inducted to the Tennis Hall of Fame.
Ivanisevic.
Which I thought was great, but he had left, and they asked him, what do you think about the match you're going to have with your friend Federer? And he gave many props to Federer. He said Federer and Nadal had been his rival. Great respect for them. I was telling Rajesh, I was like, how can we not love these 3 guys? Here I hated Djokovic, and I was wrong. They're all great. They all have a lot of things in common. They're humble. They're sweet, kind. They show greatness. I mean, what else can we ask for these guys?
I can tell you one thing that we didn't really ask for last night is when John McEnroe and Martina Navratilova came out on the court and made themselves look like a pot calling the kettle black. So real quickly on this topic, we don't get into political things. That's not what we do, but we do get into things where people just make themselves look like the exact people that they're trying to talk about. So Margaret Court, as we all know, has certain stances on different beliefs. And I think the majority of people underneath the sun this day and age would disagree with those beliefs.
Well, yeah, I looked at the pictures. They even stopped her. They switched the channel. Like they did something. She came out. She jumped over.
But let me tell you what happened first. We're jumping ahead a little bit too quickly.
Okay.
So Margaret Court again was not able to speak at a trophy presentation as she was commended for her career accomplishments, the calendar year Grand Slam at the Australian Open. So they gave her a trophy, and instead of letting her talk, they played a video in the stadium. So that way, damage control, the Australian Open organization as a whole, we don't want to risk her saying something. So let's get her out.
Do you want me to say what she said before?
Let me.
Why they do that?
Yeah, let me finish the whole dynamic behind this unfolding situation. So she is no offense to this, I just mentioned she's a Pentecostal pastor in Western Australia. So she has some conservative beliefs. But I don't think conservatism and religious beliefs or what is right and what is wrong is morally the right thing to do in the game of tennis. And Margaret Court does it and made a lot of people very upset. Mm-hmm. Now, two of the proponents against her have been Martina Navratilova for a lot of obvious reasons, and John McEnroe again for a lot of obvious reasons as well. Now, McEnroe and Navratilova.
That was bad.
Okay, anyway, I followed her as a kid. My bad, I got my tongue twisted. So they come out onto the court, and whereas Margaret Court wasn't able to say anything, here's two that are against her, but they use the world global stage and the actual tournament as a way to blaspheme her and to demand in a way that the stadium that they were naming the stadium after her, Margaret Court Arena, mm-hmm. and they protested. They wanted it named Ivan Gulagang Stadium because people like Margaret Court shouldn't have their names etched on buildings for the masses of time to see. Okay, now what you have, great, but that's the dynamics behind it. They don't let her speak at her own country, but here's two outsiders, one German and American, come in and spur of the moment, pop something up, knock everybody in the dirt.
German?
Navratilova, where's Navratilova from?
She was from Yugoslavia.
Yugoslavia, okay, my bad. The country doesn't exist anymore, by the way.
Does not, no.
So anyway.
She defected, so.
So that's the dynamics of the situation. In my opinion, McEnroe and Navratilova looked equally as bad, if not worse.
They look stupid.
Than Margaret Court.
They look like clowns on the tennis court.
Look stupid.
They really look stupid. And they don't need to. You guys need to shut up. All of them need to shut up.
And they cheated the system to get there. So
they all need to shut up.
Yeah, the Australian Open wasn't prepared for these comments. It wasn't prepared for the protest. It was prepared for Margaret Court, and they played a video. Okay, damage control. It's almost like robbery in a way. They robbed their tournament, they robbed their spectrum, they robbed their video live feed. In my opinion, that was a really shitty thing for Navratilova, and because you look just as bad as she does.
Well, yeah, but Margaret Court, she said a lot of things. I mean, she said that LGBTQ teachings in school is the work of the devil. And tennis is full of lesbians, is what Margaret Court said.
And she
that was her quote.
And yes, and she was wrong because she used the tennis platform on the global stage to say that. However, so did Martina and McEnroe.
They both look like dummies.
All right.
We got one more thing.
Yeah, and let's talk about Margaret Court's major count.
Yeah, Margaret Court, as we know, that Serena's been trying to pass her
24 majors. So the same person we're talking about has 24 majors.
Yeah.
Okay, and Serena has 23 and is stuck at it.
I disagree with that they even have her for 24. I mean, I looked into this last night. The Open era was in 1968.
Started in 68.
Which means that now amateurs can challenge the professionals.
Yeah, and not just a group of 32 pros that play one another.
She won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 Australian Opens.
How many prior to 1968?
1, 2, 3, after 68, 4.
Okay, so how many prior to? 7?
7. So
All right.
here we go.
How many players were in the Australian Open prior to 1968?
Not many people played. In 1960, when she won the Australian Open, there was a draw of 32.
Okay,
Which
so
means
5 matches.
Which was only 8 seeds, and everybody was from Australia except 2 people. Maria Bueno from Brazil and Christine Treven from Great Britain. In 62, the draw was 48 people. And
So buys and still 5 matches.
And only 3 foreigners, not Australian, played this tournament. In 63, the draw was 39 people played. And only 3 foreigners. 1964, 27 people played. And 2 foreigners. 1965, it grew to 52. And only 4 where Billie Jean King played. I can keep going. 1966, 48. The draw was so small, no one traveled to Australia. No one. It was on grass and no one traveled.
So no one is trying to take away from the fact that she won 24 majors. But for me, if you look at the pudding, the proof is in it.
No one played in Australia.
Not even until, what was it? When did
Australia Open
like the mid to late 80s?
90s, when Monica Seles started winning is when the Australian Open
Yeah.
people started watching, and when Agassi would go over there and play. That's when the Australian Open was really becoming another Grand Slam.
Yeah, so what I don't get in this whole thing is the open era, quote unquote, of tennis began in 1968. Okay? I get that. But we count a record of 24 majors that goes prior to that, and we count a major. I get it, it's a major, but when you have 32 people in it, and it's only people within that continent, where's the diversity?
There was no diversity.
So you're just the best player in your continent, not necessarily the best player in the world.
No, yes.
That's what I'm saying. So we're going to count 7 of these because
They should not be
you were
counted.
the best player. I think she was winning a lot of those finals, like 0-1 and 0-0, right?
A lot of them,
Some crazy thing like that. Not taking away from her, but how can you compare Serena Williams to her? Serena Williams would beat the brakes off of her.
Yeah, I mean, she did win like 5 U.S. Opens. I mean, she has a lot of slams. There's a lot of slams that she has. But again, no one played in Australia.
And was that for Serena, by the way, shoulda, coulda, woulda, but was that a U.S. Open final where Serena got all the bad line calls against Capriati?
Yeah, she's been robbed of a lot.
Jeez. That was like the worst lines.
That's when she was super fit. She was wearing that skirt.
Jean skirt. Like a real boom.
Yeah.
Assault. Like, what? Come on.
And I gotta tell you, none of the females not even Andreescu can touch her body the way she looked in that U.S. Open. Not even Andreescu.
What year was that?
I don't know.
But no.
Andreescu
That's not even close. Andreescu is nowhere even close to being as fit ever as Serena was.
Correct. That's what I'm saying.
Jeez, what year was that? The Capriati final with Serena. When Serena had the jean skirt on, the black
That
top.
wasn't a final. That was like a semi-final. Baby.
Whatever match. But wow, you go look at Serena then. Wow. Talk about an absolutely primed athlete. Gee whiz. All right, so, real quick. Here we go. So, rapid fire tonight. Here we go. Who you got? Annette
2004.
04. Look at Serena at 04 in that match. You'll see.
As a matter of fact, I haven't seen any player look like her. I mean, they're all skinny and fit, but not strong, big, and just like her. I have not seen that in a long time.
All right, ending the show. Here we go. Who you got tonight, Carla? Annette Kontaveit or Halep?
Halep.
I got Kontaveit. Who you got? Muguruza or Pavlyuchenkova?
Muguruza.
Me too. Let's project. Who do you have? Sophia Kenin or Ashley Barty?
Barty.
All right. How about Rafael Nadal against Dominic Thiem?
Nadal.
Why not? I'll take Thiem. All right. I don't even really like Master Splinter that much, but I'll take Thiem. Wawrinka and Zverev.
Wawrinka.
I don't know. There might be some script writing here because Zverev said he would donate $4 million if he won the thing. I think Wawrinka might let him win and they just split the deal.
Oh, come on.
Conspiracy. Vince McMahon, assault WWE. No matter what you do, my will get your hill. You go wild on you.
I think you should go into acting. What do you guys think?
All right, Roger Federer against Novak Djokovic.
Poor Federer.
How many sets?
I'll give him 4, and that's giving him 1.
Unless there's a script in here. Hey, man, I'm going to go ahead and come out and take 2 from you because I know I can do it anyway. All right, well, let me get 2 and, we'll sell more tickets. All right, we'll do that. But in the 5th set, I'm going to kick your ass like I should have in the 3rd anyway. Hence, Djokovic is the guy talking, I should have kicked your ass, right? So if it goes 5, it was subject. But Djokovic
looks in clear past the 17, so.
Let's go!
All right.
All right, take care, everyone. See you mañana. Subscribe always helps, at least for energy, thinking we're doing something right. But outside of that, I guess not much.
All right, adios.
Oh.
Bye.